This one is harder for sure for Magicamy, but I feel like she has some answers because cards like Grove Tender surprisingly good against Zoo because it allows you to ramp a lot more effectively. Zoo's going to be playing out most of their cards anyway on curve, but you need to often have that mana, but you put out the 2/4 body, which can be important.
One thing is for certain, it's a lot better of a card against Zoo than it is against Handlock. As Magicamy found out the hard way earlier on. Giving a mana crystal or a card to Handlock early on could sometimes be a death sentence, but Hyped actually the only player bringing Zoo today.
Yeah, good for him.
Out of all 8 players. I think most players took Warlock.
Handlock.
All players took Warlock?
Let's see.
Oh, I have it written down right here. Warlock, 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 Warlock. Warlock, Warlock. Every player.
It's a good choice. Warlock's a very strong class. Yeah, Gooby played Handlock, Zolay played Handlock, Flybird, Sixo played Handlock, Trump played Handlock, Magicamy played Handlock. In fact, everybody brought Handlock except for Zoo.
Except for Hyped, who brought Zoo. And I think I was a little bit surprised that Zixo brought Handlock.
Everyone was. That's the whole point of why he brought it, right? So that way he can surprise people.
Yeah, it didn't work out. Didn't work out in the slightest. It was a really unfortunate series for him, but maybe he can make it to the open bracket and come back. But we are only jumping into the second match, so we're not even guaranteed a blind pick phase, but it seems like out of all the matches we've seen today, Hyped is the one who brings like the best variety of decks. Not the best variety of decks, but the most the largest amount of variety in his deck choices.
Right. Well, he's definitely his own player. He's specialized, and that's why he's one of the most respected deck builders for sure. Now, Magicamy does have Grove Tender. She is aware this is Zoo. Do you keep Swipe against Zoo, or do you have to mulligan aggressively for early game plays?
I think you keep it. What early game plays would that be that you would mulligan for?
I don't know.
Wild Growth?
If you have Zombie Chow, Wrath, Wild Growth.
Have we seen a Zombie Chow in this Druid deck? I don't remember.
Not really. So, this is quite unfortunate because Hyped has a very strong turn 1 play with double 1-drop, and Magicamy has nothing on turn 2. Even worse yet, this Grove Tender might not do anything really.
And Hyped can flood the board pretty early on in preparation for a Sea Giant. And tucking that Knife Juggler in behind the Boardwalker, giving him a nice place to lay his little knife juggling head.
Yeah, precisely. And this is where like the Grove Tender, if it ramps a mana, actually is very risky because of the Defender of Argus. So I think ramping a card might be better here. You're giving Zoo another card though.
The Grove Tender seems like such a weird card.
It is pretty weird for sure.
In an ideal scenario, you could end up like ramping against a deck that doesn't benefit as much as you do. But it seems like against aggressive decks, you're giving them more room to be aggressive, and against control decks, you don't play as much of a control role. You're not as slow as they would be, and so giving them an extra mana crystal order card would be just as bad. I don't know. I guess I haven't wrapped my head around Grove Tender as a card yet.
No worries. Well, Hyped gets the juggle onto the Grove Tender. Now gets to decide, evaluate based off the juggle here. So you go for the greedy play, trying to go for the juggle off the second proc of the Inkwing Ooze. Oh, I guess he just goes all out.
Well, he would have won the juggle, but I don't think it matters. Well, actually, it does matter because of swipe. Echoing oozes, though, could pose a slight problem.
Yeah, the swipe has removed most of the threats, so the Sea Giant won't come out next turn. But still, now it's like Magicamy might have to innovate to clear out some of these threats here.
But at the same time, this is a stabilization turn, and if you can find,
well, is it though? Because Implosion is going to be coming out here in just a second.
But then a second swipe.
But that takes up the entire turn, and then
2.
yeah, that's pretty lackluster. Yeah, it's definitely really weak.
You don't even have to swipe. You can just do the claw here.
Two mana implo or 2 damage implosion feels so pitiful.
4 mana for 2 damage plus summon 2/2.
He's doesn't have enough mana or minions on the board for Sea Giant yet.
And he can't play. It's not good to play Doomguard for the risk of just discarding the Sea Giant and getting one of that bigger threat.
Sea Giant, or sorry, Doomguard is super risky to just throw away a lot of your hard-earned work. At the same time, I don't know if it's right to tap it all, because Doomguard, you want to get it out as soon as you can. So it might be like, as painful as it is, it might be an exchange time with Defender Vargas. If Doomguard doesn't discard Sea Giant,
you're okay, but you might have to just go for it here.
if Doomguard discards Defender and Sea Giant, that's really bad. Oh, balls
Sneaky,
of steel,
sneaky.
this kid. I mean, Swipe will be able to deal with this, but he's at low health. 13 health remaining.
Yeah, that damage sneaks up on you.
Yeah, well, there's no other use of keeping wild growth.
Yeah.
The 1 health might be inconsequential, but you might need that extra mana in the next few turns.
That extra mana could turn into more health in the long run. Ouch.
Wow, that's very unusual to pick up 2 spells that you're not able to use. And now Magicamy can start to charge back. The fact that Hype didn't have any minion is actually really bad, because now Powerful Whelming is a lot weaker.
Dr. Boom makes Sea Giant a little easier to throw down, though. But at the same time, the Dr. Boom would almost straight up challenge it.
Yep.
An Undertaker this late in the game is meh.
It's just a minion at this point. Implosion would have to roll a 4 on Dr. Boom in order for
Sea
the
Giant.
Sea Giant to come down here. And rolls a 2.
Ouch. Twice in a
Definitely
row.
not what he was looking for here.
Bring out your dead.
Wow. That was actually a Savage Roar away from
Yeah, or a
being
force
the end
of
of the
nature.
game. Oh, that's what I meant. Well, actually, either, yeah.
Magicamy is about to turn us around here.
Yeah. Catches herself, thinks about it. Sequencing does matter at this stage. Still want to preserve the health of your creatures. And that puts it on a Savage Roar next turn.
That's true. This Dr. Boom is going to do so much damage.
Ouch.
And like we said, this Sea Giant has been doing nothing all game. In fact, pretty sure Hype's dead.
I don't think there's anything that he can draw into that's going to keep him alive. Well, Doomguard will keep him alive.
True. It will keep him alive, just barely. Yeah. Pretty unfortunate he lost almost all of his burst, but oh, looks like he's dead anyways. The Druid of
That's
the
it.
Claw is exactly what Magicamy needed here. And that's going to wrap up game 2 Magicamy's at a 2-0 lead, and she might 3-0 this finals, as she has Freeze Mage coming up against Giants Mage.
Wow. And going into a pretty rough matchup for Druid. Both variations, both of the more popular variations of Warlock, fare pretty well against Druid, and especially Zoo, but Hype just didn't get that oomph that he needed. I mean, and rolling 2 implosions is just another slap in the face. 2 damage on 2 implosions is a slap in the face as well.
Sure.
So this could be the first 3-0 finals that we've seen, I think.